What? So this guy can't believe that someone actually stuck up for Trayvon Martin yesterday? Fez stuck up for Trayvon Martin yesterday?
I can't believe. What?
Well, good for him. There's people that are sticking up for Trayvon Martin as well.
Yo, Trayvon. Yeah, but I think Fezzi's take on it was a little emotional, more than factual.
What did he say? I don't really listen to the radio,
I don't think he liked
morning
the big
mashup. Morning mashup style.
I don't think he liked the big bad guy with the gun that was shooting the infant that was crawling on the sidewalk with his whoopee and his fucking thing in his mouth.
Is he crying over the whole thing?
Did he cry?
Not that I heard, but I've heard very little, so there's still a great chance that he
like
cried.
that.
I don't think anybody's attacking Trayvon Martin.
There are people attacking.
But I mean, I don't. I kind of go back and forth between wanting to see Zimmerman acquitted and convicted, depending on what day. The only reason I have any empathy for Zimmerman is because Anthony is the case you make. Is the only reason I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
But I mean, can't we just? The more that comes out, my feelings change.
As the trial goes on, people are like, oh, yeah, okay, well, that little tidbit, ooh, the prosecution scores.
Don't forget the human emotion factor. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they proved their case whatsoever, but then you got the jury with their human emotions and stuff. That's always...
I think that too.
That's not a guarantee that they're going to be able to push their own human emotions down.
The juries are always, that loose cannon, the fucking thing. You're not sure what's going to happen. But this is so cut and dry. It's going to be very hard for them to just look at the letter of the law, the statutes for murder 2, which is totally ridiculous, and even the statutes for manslaughter and the justification for manslaughter in certain situations, which this falls into. If you look at those, just the letter of the law there, it's not even close. I mean, you take away all that bullshit, and that's what they have to consider. And it's very hard, even with emotion. You've seen jurors before in other cases go, look, I would have loved to have said guilty. I would have loved to this. We were crying in the fucking jury room, but we had to look at this, and that's what the law told us we had to do. Well, and that's where they are right now with this fucking
But in
case.
a perfect world, that makes sense. But there's always some weird shit that happens.
Of course, you never know. If we all knew, we'd know.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But at this point, it's going to be up to the jury. Probably, maybe Thursday they might get it. Friday, end of the week, they might stretch it out to the end of the week.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah, they went through probably 9 witnesses yesterday. The defense.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of looks like they're getting through this part of it really quickly. The defense is...
Well, I would have loved to watch the trial yesterday, but the kids were watching Dr. Phil as they were fucking checking their Instagrams.
And what were they...
Let me consume some TV now.
Were they eating candy and stuff?
Everything. I don't know how they don't, because we were discussing that. It was so weird. It was a weird discussion on the way home, because I was trying to, wrap my head around it. And then my wife goes, look, when you were growing up, they just didn't have this shit.
Yeah.
They have so many different treats now. It's unbelievable.
Treats.
What do we have? Oreos and maybe Captain Crunch? That was about it.
An Oreo.
I think that's all we had. What else did we really have? The basic chocolate bars.
Candy Kisses were popular.
But not a lot of shit.
Oh, Necco wafers, the wax bottles that you'd bite off and drink the colorful liquid out of it, Pixie Sticks, the rolled up licorice that would fucking you put in your mouth and make it like a tongue going. Bleh. Bleh. Oh, yeah, candy cigarettes, gum cigarettes, fucking... wax teeth. Fuck it.
There you go. The one guy looks so much like E-Rock.
Oh, it
makes me laugh every time.
Oh,
that's not the E-Rock guy, though. Find the E-Rock guy. I mean, my supermarket, there's now 2 aisles dedicated to cereal alone.
Yeah, a lot of fucking cereals.
We had maybe... That's E-Rock. I mean, that's E-Rock. E-Rock hates it. I know. Look, he's really mad now.
No, it's not that. This is your generation's. I walked to school in the snow up the hill. 3 channels, no frills. Life was hard.
Because he's one of the consumers.
But he's technically right, though. Like, it is a generational thing. Like, we all, every generation.
Hey, Rock, I admitted that.
I understand.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm kind of admitting, especially with these guys taking their shots at me, that okay, maybe I'm off base here.
I
and maybe I'm now the old. Maybe I am
become that.
Maybe I'm officially the old guy in the room, which kind of sucks. You never want to be the old guy in the room, but logically, it makes sense to me that maybe you should go outside and get some fucking air.
Every generation thinks, and this is the way it works. The new generation is softer. Like our dads thought we were softer, and I'm sure they're. And it goes back when like none of us are Vikings. Like I'm sure even we think the generation after us is soft, but like no one's looking at us like, boy, these guys rip shit apart with their bare hands.
Tough guys.
Hundreds of years ago.
I would never disagree with my dad. His generation was they were tough motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about guys that my dad would have been about 80 something now, but those 70-year-old guys and above, those are way tougher guys than we ever were.
But their generation doesn't. The generation before them, not at all. Because we fought in World War I.
Yeah,
you guys had planes.
Right. Those World War II guys, you hang out with any of them, man, they will give you a fight too.
They're all curmudgeons.
Don't fist fight with those old guys, man. They'll beat the shit out of you.
Well, they didn't have therapy. They're all bottled up.
Right.
They had no ability to get it out emotionally. They're punching a German guy from 1950.
Buzz Aldrin.
I completely agree. Those guys were way fucking tougher. Completely agree. What they had to go through, World War II and all that shit. Holy fuck. Build the country.
Yeah. Here's a country. Build it.
Right. We still got some builders here and there.
Oh man,
what were you saying? So the fuck was that? I would have loved to see the trial. But
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I guess they kicked back up again today, but for yesterday, again, pretty big for the defense. Man, they brought in a bunch of people at first that were just like listening to the 911 tape and the screaming in the background and saying, "Yeah, that's George Zimmerman." They brought a bunch of friends, and then the one guy they brought in, it was pretty compelling witness if you think, you want to add some emotion in and be like, all right, it's not just a guy that knows him. The Vietnam War medic that is good friends with Zimmerman. And he was talking about how he would hear guys that he would talk to on a daily basis in that stressful, deadly situation screaming at him for help. And he says, the voice takes this weird high pitch, and it was just talking. He goes, I do identify that voice as George Zimmerman. Whether it's accurate, not, but it's just one of those things that kind of was like, that's a new little take there, new little avenue they're taking on that whole thing. The bottom line, though, with the audio tape, it's a wash. No one absolutely can say whether, just from listening to tape, if it's Trayvon or Zimmerman.
I'm glad you're saying that.
Well, yeah. But and that's been something from the beginning. Even the experts, the judge said, no, we're not having experts come in because they can't determine it.
And I want to say it again. And George Zimmerman sits there and he knows exactly who screamed that night, which is so fucking creepy.
But now witness testimony and the situation at hand lends you to think that it's Zimmerman.
I believe it was Zimmerman screaming. I believe that Trayvon was probably in better shape. And I believe that Trayvon was probably beating him. I mean, I do believe that.
Don't forget, Zimmerman was in much better shape than he is now.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He looks like, the guy from Wall-E as he sits there in the courtroom.
But you got to look
like
at
a strong consumer these days.
But I believe Keith Robinson
was in pretty good
said it
shape back then.
Yes.
He was a bitch-made dude.
A bitch-made dude. A bitch-made dude.
And we can't give him a lesser charge of just being a douche.
A douche. It might be douche, too.
I don't really.
He's not getting douche in the first.
I'm not a big fan of George Zimmerman.
What are you, a fan of Trayvon, then?
No, I'm not that connected to this like you are.
No, I was listening
but
to...
I look at that guy and I'm like, ugh. There's just something about him.
I am more than Zimmerman, though. More Trayvon than Zimmerman. Even though, because of this case, it's kind of, we've had to look at Trayvon Martin under a microscope.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I don't want to see Zimmerman go to jail for murder, because I don't think he set out to murder the guy, and I do believe that he was getting his ass kicked.
Let me ask you this, though. Was Trayvon Martin standing his ground that night? We always talk about how Zimmerman had to stand his ground.
He had every opportunity to fucking go home. He could have gotten his Skittles, his iced tea, and got his fucking ass back to his dad, and they'd have watched the game together.
But couldn't Zimmerman do the same and say, fuck it, I'll just back off a little bit, too?
He could have, but he had called the police.
I just wonder if does it stand your ground,
Yeah, well...
if Trayvon Martin felt like he was in danger as well.
Stand your ground has nothing to do with somebody following you or watching you or anything. None of those things are illegal. And the fact that he could have gone home, could Zimmerman just have gone to the store like he wanted to? He was on his way to Target. Yeah, he could have. But he thought there was a suspicious person in his neighborhood. He had called the police, and now was waiting for the police and keeping an eye on where this guy was so he could say, hey, police, he's there. That's what the evidence shows. There's no pursuit. There's no hunting. There's no stalking. All these words that I see everyone using for what Zimmerman was doing that night doesn't fit the case. Sorry. It just doesn't. It's great for the dialogue for these news fucking whores, but watching someone is not illegal, and it's not grounds for someone to turn around and punch you in the face, which, again, evidence points to.
The evidence does kind of say that. That's the unfortunate part. Is I think that Zimmerman, we talk about the law of the emotions. I think that Zimmerman is probably going to be acquitted. And I think the law doesn't allow for the fact that something should happen to him. I would love to see. I don't want to see him go away for 30 years. But I do think that he should go to jail for something. Legally, I can't say exactly what. I think that he was more wrong that night than Trayvon was.
No. I can't see when you get punched in the face, the person that punched you in the face is wrong right there. It's even if you said, hey, asshole, what the fuck are you doing in this neighborhood? The guy does not have a right to punch you in the face.
I agree.
Period.
I agree.
And that's the whole case, by the way.
But we also, in human interaction, there are those weird moments of threat and those weird male things that you go through all the time. And if you're coming out of a bar and someone says something to you, if you have a pistol, you're going to react. Who knows if Zimmerman didn't come up? Again, we don't know if Trayvon said that to him or what he said, because that's what we don't know. But how do you know he didn't come up and fucking try to alpha male Trayvon where he never would have if he didn't have that? It's almost like the guy called yesterday and maybe he was legally wrong. He said the ace in the hole. There is something for that. If you walk up to a guy, if I walk up to a guy who I normally wouldn't be a cocksucker to because I have a pistol, and I'm confrontational with him in a way.
That's such a dangerous fucking thing.
The law doesn't allow. I know.
As a gun owner, you don't want, you steer clear of situations that can get you in a situation where you then have to use a gun. You don't want to fucking go through that. You don't want to use a gun. And because you have one, people think it makes you braver. No, it makes you back down from confrontations a lot faster than it would. You don't want to use the fact that you're armed in a scuffle, an argument, a brawl. You want to use the fact that you're armed when someone's trying to kill you. Period.
You don't, because you're a different guy. You're responsible. You're not.
George Zimmerman has done nothing in the past to show that he is an irresponsible gun owner. He's never brandished. There hasn't been any reports that all these other people that he called the cops on during his tenure as neighborhood watch guy, that anyone said, he pulled a gun on me, he flashed his gun, his jacket blew open and I saw a gun. He's never used his gun as a threatening object whenever he's confronted somebody.
No, I know. I don't mean that.
So you can't then just assume that maybe he's this crazy guy with a gun.
I don't think he's crazy. But you're a different guy. You're not get involved in everybody's business and make and be that guy that calls the cops on everybody and is that when you how many times have you called 911 in the last? But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just called on me.
But exactly, you're a different person. For you, that's to behave that way as a wannabe cop is not a comprehensible thing because that's not who you are. And for a lot of gun owners, that's not who they are. But there are people who behave a certain way because they have a pistol. I don't think he wanted to go out and murder people. But there are guys that he never would have got out of that car at all if he didn't have the pistol. And I firmly believe that. I don't think you behave in any different way. But would you yell, do you do anything different? Not because you have a gun and you're going to shoot somebody. It's almost like having bigger muscles because you know that at least you're not a target.
Right.
Do you walk safer? Or would you take the train now, or maybe you wouldn't before because you know you can protect yourself?
I would know. There is a knowledge to that you walk around with that you know that you can defend yourself in a life-threatening situation.
Right, of course, yeah.
Not a scuff. Like I said, you're not going to just pull it out and start pistol whipping somebody.
You got to be walking around safer. That's a no-brainer.
Right. Knowing that if that ever presents itself, a deadly threat presents itself, you can at least answer with equal footing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you can't assume that he's doing something any different.
By the guy he is, again, just from what I know about him, from all those 911 calls, and from how the night turned out, I do think he was doing something different. And again, I'm not saying I can prove this in court. I'm just talking about as people, we understand how other people. You've never called 911. You're not that guy. You're not the wannabe cop. You're not the guy looking for power, looking for that respect. There are guys who are like that. The cops always know who they are.
Right.
And sometimes they're great citizens. Sometimes they're in the middle. And sometimes they become sociopaths. I don't know which of those things he is, but he's not a guy like you. You're different people.
No, but again, put in that situation, there's Trayvon. He could have gone home.
Sure.
He had ample opportunity to walk down that fucking sidewalk, right through the middle of those 2 rows of townhouses, and gone back to his dad's house. He never had to say boo to fucking Zimmerman.
How do we know Zimmerman didn't go, hey, come here, I want to talk to you? I'm not saying that deserves to get punched, but let's just say that Zimmerman called him over. Because knowing he's got that ace in the hole.
You could speculate anything.
So that's why it's hard for me.
You can speculate. But there's no witnesses that attest to that.
Right.
There's any statements that were made. It's just...
But you wouldn't be annoyed if someone was following you, though? When I get followed, I get fucking annoyed.
You get annoyed, but I'll tell you what you do.
And then it could easily ramp up.
A lot of times, if I'm walking around and I feel like I'm being followed or someone's behind me and I'm just uncomfortable with it,
right,
I will walk over to the side, like a building or something. I'll put my back to the building and just stand there and maybe take my phone out and make like I'm looking at my phone and wait for the person to fucking pass me. And then I'll continue on my way.
Well, aren't you the perfect human being?
I am. I don't turn around and say, hey, motherfucker, what do you follow me for? Or anything.
Say Trayvon Martin did do that.
Well, some of us have anger problems, Ann, and they can't just sit around and do that. Others get really annoyed really quickly.
No, you
and
do.
don't think before they react.
No, Ant's right. He does that stuff.
I've done that stuff in New York. I had to back the fuck down. I've had some little issues here and there when I should have just fucking taken a breath.
No, but a lot of times, if a car's in the way, maybe paparazzi jumps out to photograph Michael Bublé. The way to handle it is to
move, you mother.
Is jump on the sidewalk.
It's to physically drive the car and push the other car.
I forgot about that one.
I have pushed a few vehicles with mine, but I was in a hurry.
You know what? I got to take back that perfect human being comment.
Right?
I'm taking that one back now. This guy says you're way off on so much stuff, it's not even funny.
Who knows who he means? He might mean me.
You know,
of course I
it's 50-50. I've gotten people say you're right, and people say, Ant's 100% right, you're a faggot.
I got family in Winter Park, and I Google mapped this Sanford place.
Yeah.
They're a little too close to the action.
Are they?
They're like 20 miles away.
Oh, boy.
I think it's like the next town. There might be one town in between Sanford and Winter Park.
Tell them to batten down the hatches.
They might have to make a New York trip in a week or so.
Yeah. Dan.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing? Anthony, you're leaving a lot of facts.
Yep.
All right, like what?
First, he's on the 911 tape, and he said he's walking towards him and he's looking at him, but he nowhere talks about on the 911 tape that he circled the car 3 times, but yet later on he's making that statement elsewhere, like to Sean Hannity. Oh, he circled my car 3 times, but he never said that on the 911 tape.
Wait, what do you mean he circled the car? I didn't hear that.
That Trayvon walked around Zimmerman's vehicle like a couple of times. Yeah.
He said on the 911 tape, he said he's going past the car and he's looking at me. And that was it. Then later on, he made an official police statement. He circled the car 3 times.
Dude.
That makes it almost like it's threatening. He's adding threatening information in there. Secondly, I tweeted this to you earlier this weekend.
Oh.
How did Zimmerman
I saw it. Your cock is huge.
Yeah.
Oh, see? Dick pic. What?
How did Zimmerman draw the gun? in a ground and pound situation when
I've
Trayvon
seen.
Martin
Look.
was sitting on the gun.
All right. Okay. Hold on.
While he was laying on his back.
All right, look, I've seen the reenactments that are done on headline news with no bias whatsoever. It's amazing. They sit a guy. They have a guy laying on his back. They sit a guy straddling the guy laying on his back. And then the guy goes, okay, now he's in this position. And he'll lean over and put his fists over the face and go, all right, now freeze! How is he going to grab his gun? They never move. In a fluid fight situation, they're squirming and pushing and shoving it. Arms are moving and flailing. Legs are moving. If you want to get to your gun, you skirt, you pull down, you fucking push your arm down. They never show a struggle. How about they get the guy, straddle him, get the guy on the bottom, put a prop gun in a holster, and now say, dude, get the gun out of the holster. And then we'll see how people move in a fight situation.
How much blood spatter did he have on him? Hold on, sir. How much blood spatter did Zimmerman have on him?
Blood spatter from himself?
No. From when he shot Trayvon.
Not a lot.
Almost none.
It didn't. It went in. It didn't bleed a lot at all. It bled through the first shirt he had on against his body, but the hoodie really didn't get any.
Where did he shoot him, in the stomach, chest?
Chest.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, chest, right through the heart. Boom.
Jeez.
Oh.
Man.
Yeah.
Get
So
instantly?
let's go with
Why didn't he
Let's
just
go
shoot him in the
with
leg or
Zimmerman's
something, man?
All right.
Let's go with Zimmerman's words.
Okay.
While he was spinning his head fast and pounded 50 times in 40 seconds, then he squirmed down to get his head off the concrete, which put the gun behind Trayvon Martin. Okay? He still couldn't have drawn the gun.
You don't. No, he could have, because he did. What do you think he did?
What do I think he did?
Yeah.
I think when he got into that dark area and he was following him to see what he was doing, he pulled the gun out in the dark area because he was scared. Trayvon Martin knew that he was going to get shot either way, so he struck him. He hit his head on the concrete when he went down. Trayvon Martin was jumping down. The witness, Mr. Good, said hands were going in a downward motion. Could you see fists? No. Could you see anybody hitting anybody? No. I think they were fighting for the gun, and that's why I'll even say Zimmerman was screaming. But he was screaming because he knew he was fighting for his life, because Trayvon Martin was going to take that gun from him. And that's how the gun got drawn. It was already drawn when he came up to Trayvon Martin.
Oh, and so where's that evidence?
Where's the evidence that it didn't happen? You keep saying there's no evidence that-
my friend, the prosecution has to come up with the evidence that something happened. You can't say, well, where's the evidence that it didn't happen? You don't need it. Here's the deal. Zimmerman has a story. The defense has their evidence that that's the story that happened. The prosecution has to disprove Zimmerman's story. Do you understand that? They can't come up with speculation. They need evidence that will make, yes they do, that will make the jury say, wow, Zimmerman's got this story. But let me tell you something. The prosecution disproved all of that and proved that this is what happened beyond a reasonable doubt, so I got to convict this guy. It hasn't happened. He's walking. Get through your fucking heads.
And then you hang up on him.
I didn't hang up.
Oh, okay. You got real quiet, real fast.
I'm giving you an opportunity to talk. I'm amazing.
Zimmerman does have a story. He has 7 different stories.
It's a 7.
Wow.
Oh,
Let me ask you a question.
There's not.
What's the
There's-
car circling thing? Like, he said that Zimmerman said he was in the car, and Trayvon circled his car 3 times?
Yes, it was when they interviewed him that night. So after the shooting, and the police interviewed him.
And he's saying that
He didn't say he circled 3 times either. He said, oh, he's circling around, or he circled around. There isn't this definite he's fucking walking around the car 3 times.
Wait, is he saying he got out of the car after Trayvon was circling around it?
And I'd love to know this 7 different stories.
Boy, he said he said that Trayvon was circling his car, and then he got out anyway?
He said he's approaching my car now. That was on the 911 tape.
After he went off. Zimmerman didn't get out of the car until after Trayvon took off.
Right, and he was walking towards his dad's house. He was going towards his house.
So if he kept going, he'd have been home. Why did he?
Like you said.
Why?
You said you would stop and put your back against the wall, and that's probably.
Oh, stop it.
But let me ask you, if he felt this guy comes and circles his car or whatever, and this, young black dude in a hoodie, so he's profiling him as probably a criminal.
Right.
Why does Zimmerman get out of the car and do anything? Whereas if he didn't have a pistol, do you really think he gets out of that car?
Maybe not. Maybe you're right. Maybe not. But again, what does that even mean at this point? What does it even mean?
I'm going to make my last point, my very last point, and then I'll get off the phone.
It's your first one, if you ask me.
Even you, Anthony. I love you guys. I love listening to y'all. You're a great show. But my last point is, do you think he lied to Sean Hannity?
In what way? Not
knowing what the self-defense law was in Florida.
No, he said here it is. He didn't say, I don't know what the self-defense law is. He said, he was asked, have you ever heard of stand your ground? He goes, no, never heard of stand your ground. He didn't say, I don't know this self-defense laws. And then they tried nailing him with that by bringing his fucking teacher on about that. And even the teacher said, no, I never used the words stand your ground. It's a semantics thing, of course, that is being called in more distractions and static from the actual case, which is, if he's getting his face beat in, and in that moment he feels his life is being threatened or great bodily harm is being threatened, he can then respond with deadly physical force. Period. So when you are going through your CCW class, you don't learn what the self-defense laws are in the state that you're getting your CCW?
I think he had just answered that thing. He did understand it. It was just a semantics. He gave an honest answer to a semantics thing. He may not have known the title of it.
And by the way, in New York, you don't even have to take a course. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, in Florida, you have to take a course, and everybody since 2006 has known it's been called Stand Your Ground. It's new to y'all because you're outside of the...
No, it's not even called...
We don't know. It's not called Stand Your Ground.
It's called the Castle Doctrine. It's not even called Stand Your Ground. So, again, prove it. Prove it.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call.
All right.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right, Dan.
It was.
Thank you, sir.
The prosecution, I'm just saying, look, it's not a pleasant thought, but the prosecution hasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt that anything different happened than what Zimmerman's story is. Are there inconsistencies? Yeah, there are in every fucking story that anyone's ever told. There's going to be inconsistencies. Are they important inconsistencies that a jury's going to look at and say, wow, this guy is not a credible witness. He's a combative defendant. He's changed his story. No, there's just not that going on in this trial.
The problem is we don't really have Trayvon Martin's story.
Well, that's what forensics are for.
That's
it tough. Evidence is for. That's what witness statements are for.
I understand
to
that.
Speak for the dead guy. But again, there's
a lot we don't know.
That's how life
to tell his story.
How life and death works.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Puts the other side in a power position, though.
I'm just telling you, he is walking away from this.
Well, I see it that way too.
Not even manslaughter. He's fucking walking scot-free away from this fucking charge.
Human emotion with the jury, though. Let's see what happens.
Oh, human emotion with fucking. Just go to hashtag. Justice for Trayvon. Holy fuck. There's a bunch of people that really have not even looked at one iota of the case and have a very strong opinion of what should happen and what will happen if he's acquitted, which include things like George Zimmerman's death, his rape, his murder of him and his family, riots, killing of indiscriminate white or Hispanic people. It's amazing to read.
And I thought we had haters. My God.
Right? Those are some haters.
Wow.
I'm gonna kill you.
All right.
At least we got that done early.
It's a big case.
It is huge. It's
everyone's talking about it.
All the news channels are just playing it ad nauseum.
That Nancy Grace really is a pig.
She's a despicable fuckwad.
What a fucking pig she is.
Mr. Rock?
I was looking at your Twitter last night, and I
of
noticed
course.
you were watching Dr. Drew.
Yes.
And at one point, I flip it on, and my wife goes, "Is he just purposely making himself mad by watching
Yes,
this?"
we all know that. That's what Anthony does.
I put on Seinfeld.
No, you
put on
search out
Seinfeld
anger now.
No, I had to see
really
fucking
do.
Jenny Hutt
Yeah.
I had to see Jenny Hutt talking on.
How'd she do last night?
She is a dunce.
She is
a dummy.
Dr. Drew loves her.
She knows that, or she's saying, I think he's going to be acquitted, but you know, I don't like him, and I don't agree with it. And she was saying how Trayvon was running away, and he was scared that night. A scared person running away. His house was literally by the office. He needed to get to a little further than our office from here. He was walking that way. When you hear George Zimmerman say, "All right, he just took off," and then you hear the door open, and then the 911 operator, whatever it is, the non-emergency guy says, "Are you following him?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, we don't need you to do that." And then Zimmerman is walking. He's walking this way, which I'm pointing forward, a 90-degree angle to that path that Trayvon walked down. He's walking this way. He's not turning. So Zimmerman walks this way. Now, you're telling me not enough time for him? He's scared and running to get his ass home? No. Zimmerman walks to get the street at the end of that sidewalk by the T. They tell him, "We don't need you to do that." He goes, "Okay." He starts walking back to his vehicle. Trayvon is now at the T, waiting for him. "Hey, you got a problem? What do you do? You following me?" The exchange they had. Why didn't Trayvon keep walking down that fucking way and go home?
That's too logical. Because people get pissed off when they're getting followed and stuff.
Pissed off? There you go.
I'm not saying Zimmerman's wrong for what he did, but it's not as easy as saying he should just went home. A lot of people go, "What the fuck you doing?"
And the guy's on the phone.
We all have done that shit.
Trayvon sees him. He's following me. He's on the phone.
Yeah, it would
too.
be very easy for him just to walk to his house, but you know, then you feel less of a man. Like this guy, you know, got the best of it.
Well, you know,
it happens all the time.
Sorry.
Is what I'm saying.
Sorry, there's part of certain people's culture that doesn't allow you to fucking just go home. You got to punch someone in the face. Sorry.
Well, all the flip side there are certain people that would behave. Like getting beer muscles. He behaved a certain way because he knew he had a pistol. And again, I might do the same thing.
And Trayvon behaved a certain way because he thought he didn't. Because he thought he didn't have a pistol. So he punches him in the face and fucking oopsie, it's an armed citizen. Gee, that's the 1 in a million shot I sure didn't want.
See, I would agree with that if they had just bumped. The problem I have with it is simply Zimmerman, I know, got out of that car because he had a pistol. And the thing was, make the phone call. And then stay in the fucking car.
But do you think he got out of the car because he had the pistol, because he wanted to use it and shoot Trayvon? Do you think that night, on his way to Target, he sees a guy and goes, "Yeah, I think I'm going to just throw everything away and shoot some guy tonight"?
I say no.
No, but
no.
I don't think it's as cut and dry as did he want to shoot somebody or no. I think there's somewhere in between. Well, had he not made all those other 911 calls? But when you call 911 that many times about the same thing...
But that was his
okay
job.
That's
I'm putting quotations
but that's also
around,
who he is. That's his identity. He's sick and tired of this shit going on.
Right.
And he's going to put a stop to it. Now, I'm not saying he's going out to murder somebody, but he's in a different frame of mind than I think an average citizen who just sees somebody walking and calls the cops. He goes, "That guy looks..." This guy was somewhere between a regular citizen and a cop. And he, again, had those 911 calls not been made, I would feel differently about it. But he's that guy. It's almost like, you know, if you're the guy who's always walking up to women and going, "Hey, hey, hey," if you're the guy who's always fucking approaching strange women on the sidewalk, and then one time you have a confrontation with a woman and she scratches your face and you knock her teeth out, and you're like, "Well, she knocked my teeth out." And you're like, "Yeah, but there's something about you. You're the guy that every time is approaching them. We know something about you." He's different than just a guy who set out to murder somebody. But he's not just a regular guy. There's something about him that's bugging him. And I'm not saying it can be proven, but he's a different dude than just an average citizen going home. Do I think he wanted to possibly have a confrontation? Yeah. Because he's sick of it. He's a guy who's fucking tired of it. He's tired of these fucking spooks coming into his neighborhood. And I'm telling you, he didn't say that in the tape, but you know that mentality. Doesn't mean I think he's a racist, but he's just tired of these fucking kids coming in and causing a problem, and he's gonna fucking do something. And come on, man, you don't make that many. I haven't called 911 more than once following a bus.
But you can't throw him in jail for all that.
I'm not saying that, but
that's the douche.
He was the neighborhood watch guy.
Right.
Calling 911 is part of his job as the neighborhood watch guy.
But again, then you're right. But he makes himself that guy. But he gets out of the car.
And what's so bad about making yourself the guy that, you know, all right, we've had 12 robberies in this fucking neighborhood. All of them fit this fucking MO of, you know, here's another black male in a hoodie. I'm going to call the cops. What's so bad about that? Everyone's made it a bad thing.
I'll tell you what's so bad about it. Under most circumstances, nothing. It's responsible citizens taking charge of their own neighborhood and not letting fucking creeps come. But you know what I mean? Not letting creeps come in and rob good citizens. What makes it bad is there's that really weird point of no return that I think a really qualified person or a cop knows how to navigate much better than him.
I'll never say no mistakes were made. I'll never say his actions couldn't have stopped everything in its tracks if he would have turned around and gone back to his truck. Of course. And hindsight is beautiful when it comes to pointing those things out. Again, I could point it out by saying Trayvon should have kept marching his ass back to his house. Right. I mean, it's one of those perfect storm things that happens, and you get that. But the case itself, the murder too, even the manslaughter, the things the jury has to consider, has nothing to do with those peripheral things. Him getting out of the vehicle, that it all builds up to a point, but that one point of him getting beaten, him wondering, I think this motherfucker is going to kill me. I honestly think I'm going to die here.
Legally, again, I'm not saying that he's going to go to, but it's like if a guy molests a kid and the kid says something and you know, but there's not enough physical evidence to throw the guy away. But everybody knows this is the guy in the again.
Now that's a little.
No, I'm raising it for a reason. And everybody knows this is the guy in the neighborhood that's a little creepy around the kids. But there's no physical evidence. Legally, he gets off. But we all know.
But that's a technicality thing.
But
it's not a self-defense. This is a law that is there to protect somebody that is saving their own lives.
But that's also the law. That's also the law. I'm only saying just because you can't prove it legally doesn't mean we don't know who this guy is.
The molestation part of it. No, I can't even go along with that analogy, Jimmy. I can't because the molestation as opposed to the self-defense.
Let's give Jenny Hutt a chance here.
Oh, Christ.
She's a big TV star now.
Hi, Jenny.
Jenny.
I'm actually on my way in to do my radio show.
Oh, look at you, so busy. I was watching you last night with all those people and the woman with the big angry African hat on, and you are still brainwashed by the people around you. Don't you see?
And
Trayvon was not afraid.
And I agree with Jim. I don't think that George Zimmerman was like, hey, let me murder a kid tonight. I think something weird happened, and he didn't do the right thing, and he should be punished. I don't think he should be guilty of murder, too. I'm sure he's not going to be.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be punished for being a douche. I wish he could be punished for being a douche.
Oh,
but
no,
the facts are the facts, and you know. Zimmerman was pretty much allowed to do what he did that night, unfortunately.
I want to see him go for something. I want to see him, from what I know so far about him, I want to see him get some kind of manslaughter.
All right, littering. One of the rounds. Popping on the lawn.
They haven't proven their case against Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, Jenny.
But Anthony, what makes me dunce-like? Oh, please don't answer that. Now you can.
What makes you dunce-like is that you're just feeding off of the people at that goddamn channel, and you're not looking at just these facts. What the fuck makes you think Trayvon was so scared and running, and George Zimmerman pursued him and shot him? None of that is even close to what the evidence shows.
Look, this is why I said last night that I'd be a bad juror on this kind of case.
Oh.
Because as a mother, I tend to have compassion.
Oh, Christ,
for the kid
he's
who's
done.
involved. I get that doesn't make me a dud. It makes me a mom.
Oh,
You
you
know,
put that aside. I'll kick you off the jury.
I'm not going to be on this jury, thankfully.
Good thing. And those jurors that were on there last night on the after show, where they have the after dark thing, and they have 6 complete retards sitting there, and they're like, "Do you think George Zimmerman was the one on the tape screaming?" And then they have these news people come in and brainwash these people, and then they all say, "No, it wasn't George." Like, what? What? All of them? Jesus. Unbelievable.
I do want to say that you three are having such a compelling, interesting, smart conversation about the case. And listening to the 3 points of view it's really good.
Jenny Hutt.
Thank you, Jenny.
More importantly, are you giving the makeup artist a little extra money every night or what?
Oh!
You look hot as hell on that show.
You look good. Your hair looks great.
I can't believe it's the same person that we see walking around here.
You do look good on that show, Jenny.
Holy shit.
Look very lovely.
Maybe just don't talk so much.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye, Jenny.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, hot stuff.
Wow. Fucking wild redhead. Oh, shit.
All right.
All right.